Hey guys, it's your boy 4ID, and I'm back with another episode of 4 Talks. Today, we're going to be asking a simple question, and this is a question that many of us tend to ask, maybe at a point of revelation for us, or depending on whatever line of business you are in, or maybe not just a business, maybe a form of creation, whether you're an artist, maybe you're a photographer, or a musician, a content creator, or any of these things. One of the biggest questions that we tend to ask at a point in our lives is, who am I creating for? What am I doing this for? What am I trying to prove here? Or who is my audience exactly? So most of my videos from now on would just be me speaking to a camera and trying to understand where I'm trying to, or just trying to put things together as I go along. But at the same time, I kind of have a concept of where I want to go, and that's because at a point I really had this mindset of, I had this idea of, I want to get to a point where I'm big enough and this and that. And because of that mindset, I felt like I had to conform to whatever rule or regulation that the algorithm posed towards me. And whether it was, what are people gravitating towards, what do people like to see, what do people enjoy seeing, and all of these things. And I wanted to try my hands in different things. As long as I saw that, okay, something probably worked for this person, I'll try and do that. Or if I saw something that was practically beautiful, I'll just try and do it in my own style, or do it in a way that was closer to their own style, and try as much as possible to take from different parts in order to find whatever works. And so it is like this, it's like a recipe that with every new day you're coming up with a different recipe, and whatever recipe works is going to probably blow you up, and then you're going to be known as the person with this particular recipe. And that was the idea that I had, maybe out of an immature point of view or something. But I think slowly, as I started to realize some other things, I started to realize that you can't really maintain an audience from there. And that's something I spoke about before now, which is about longevity. And so I wouldn't really delve too deep into that. But I found out aside that whenever you're creating, you have to understand who you're creating for. And because you trying to understand who you're creating for is going to be a question about who you are and what you would like to see. So when I started doing all those things, I really had a concept. I didn't really have a concept of who I was, but I already was working towards something that I loved. And so I think before now, when I first started, I was always having these conversations about existential conversations and spirituality, not necessarily like in a religious sense, but in the sense of, what are we, where are we going after this, what's the afterlife, and all of these questions. And that was a conversation that I really wanted to have. And I remember that many people resonated with that conversation. Many people loved to speak on that, and many people loved to see that. And it felt like a very easy thing for me. And it's almost led to this imposter syndrome, because I was getting so much validation for doing something that wasn't really hard for me to do. It wasn't hard for me to think about those things. It was, I could have posted something and somebody would be like, oh, where did you get this idea from? And it's just like, maybe I was reading something and it came up, or I just wasn't sure of something and I really wanted to ask that question, and I made an artwork that was asking that question. So it wasn't really me working. And because I wasn't working, I had a really big crisis of, oh, what am I doing? Am I just getting a blessing for a work that I'm not really doing? And people really saying, oh, this person is good, based on something that he is not really a part of. And I felt bad about that. And I think maybe because I was younger at that time, but it just felt like, oh, I wasn't doing anything that required all this. And even when somebody gives you a compliment like, oh, I love your work and I love this and I love the ideas that you have and everything, I wasn't really able to accept that, because it didn't feel like much to me. That was until maybe I had like some crazy incident and I felt like, oh, maybe I should turn this down and try something else. And then it led me to a point where I wanted to wanted to try dabble in so many random things. Sorry about the lighting. So it led me to a point where I wanted to dabble in so many random things, and that dabbling meant that I lost the spice that people wanted to see. And obviously, me posting, there are many people that will see the works I did after and feel like, oh, there was no spice, there was nothing really different to it. But I know what I was feeling, and I know how I resonated with the work that I was doing, and I know when I lost that. I know when I stopped, not necessarily lost the idea, but I know when I stopped feeling the need to follow whatever idea that I had. I know when I started to conform to what, maybe from drawing something that's drawing on metaphysical conversations to going to drawing fan art, and the drawing wasn't particularly worse, but the concept was worse, and so people couldn't really resonate with it. And then that's not even a bash to fan art. I feel like there are many people who are made for fan art, who are very good at it, and I feel like they get whatever validation that is required from doing that because that's their own path. But if this is not your path, then you always have to keep on asking yourself those questions. Go back to your safe space. Understand yourself. Listen to yourself. Take time to study. Take time to learn things about yourself. Look for the things that you find most interesting. Look for, because some people are very religious. Some people want to go to church every day, and some other people don't. Some people want to be in the club every day. Some people want to talk about relationships. Some people want to talk about politics. Some people want to talk about race. Some people want to talk about sexism and everything. And so once you try to dim that light because you feel like this is not something that people expect of you, or this is not something that the algorithm expects of you, that is when you lose yourself. That is when you lose whatever people found interesting about you. So in terms of who are you creating for, the biggest thing is, number one, you have to create for yourself. And you creating for yourself is such a tossed around thing. It's something that everybody says, but nobody really understands what it means to create for yourself. And in order for you to create for yourself, you have to create for yourself as if you're going to do an exhibition to yourself. You're going to be your own critique. You're going to be the art educator. You're going to be the judge of your work. You're going to be the only person that's involved. And in order for you to do that, you really have to understand yourself. You have to know who you are. You have to come to terms with what you love to do. You have to understand where you want to be, and all of these things need to come to light. So take time. Somehow it might feel like, oh, you are in a brain rot, or you are in just a general rot. You're just pressing your phone every day and you're not really doing much. But those things really come together to create something that is important. Maybe it's you just pressing your phone and you just find out a documentary that you find like, oh, this is the question I really want to answer. This is something I really want to talk about. This is something I really find interesting. Delve into that. As a creator, delve into that. If you're an artist, you don't really have to talk about like you love every day. It's not just about love. Sometimes you can talk about like crazy things. You can talk about the
political and economic state of the world right now.
You can talk about one of those things. You don't have to see whatever everybody is doing and seeing that this is paying people, and this conversation is paying people, and just jump into it. No, take your time to listen to yourself, take your time to understand yourself. As soon as you start to understand yourself, there just is a spike there's more like an assurance in what you feel is true. And every day, as you go even deeper into understanding yourself, those things that you felt like, oh, this is just an idea, this is just something, it becomes an attribute of your personality. It becomes a character, becomes something that you realize this is your own truth. And that truth might change over time, like I say. But while those things exist, while you're in that position, while you're still in that phase of your life, that remains your truth, and you should be able to extend that truth to people. And the truth I've realized is, I would have wanted to say this in a more painful way, like, oh, you're not that special. But at the same time, it's like you're not the only person who has the idea that you have. You're not the only person who has the character that you have. Like there are like 8 billion people, but there are not 8 billion characters in the world. There are not 8 billion. There are not 8 billion ideas or personalities in the world. There are like probably less than 100. And so you're sharing your whatever mindset you have, whatever thrill that you have, whatever things that you find interesting. There are like at least 50 million people that have that same thrill. And so the only thing that you should bother about is creating for yourself and then finding ways to promote that to the people that will connect to what you want. You don't really have to, like it's always said, you don't really have to create for everybody. It's not just about finding a niche in this case. It's about finding your folks, finding your community, finding people that just resonate with you. And for every question asked on a particular topic, they will almost give the same answer as you. They almost have the same mindset as you. And you will find those people. The problem is not whether or not you will find those people, it's how sure you are and how assured you are in yourself, and then how well you are or how good you are at promoting that self. Once you're able to assure yourself that this is who I am or who I am, then you can go ahead and start speaking to people. You can go ahead and start promoting yourself, and life is almost too easy at that point. Once again, I'm 4ID. Thank you very much for listening. I will be back next time. Please and please don't forget to like this channel, subscribe, and share this to whoever you feel like this is important to. I'll be leaving some conversations about things that I just think about. Mainly, I'll be leaving advices, I'll be leaving tips, I'll be leaving reactions. Please just leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for listening. Peace.